check 1 2 1 2.
Mic check 1 2 and 2. Mic check 1 2 and 2. Mic check 1 2 and 2.
Mic check 1 2 and 2. We're in the building right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Check 1 2 and 2. You are now in the building with Coach K, and this is the Hustler's Journal podcast.
Listen up, boy, I be a coach, teaching how to think different with a new approach. I hope you're taking notes. Haters think it's jokes. They got me fired up, but they don't want the smoke. Life only grows in knowledge. They don't get the logic. It's the road less traveled that I got my mileage. I don't care for comments. Show me your hustle. I'm only here to build your physical and mental muscle. There's some things you must do. Better listen in. It's the Hustler's Journal. I'll show you how to win. I learned from the greats, plus my own takes. I'm the one people come to for losing weight. See, I aspire to inspire while you perspire. That's my empire. There's no time to quit. Don't care how you're feeling. You better stand up when Coach K is in the building.
Mic check 1 2 and 2, ladies and gentlemen. We're now in the building with your boy Coach K, and this is the Hustler's Journal. Another episode to get you motivated and inspired to move your mind and body to fulfill habits and patterns that are going to progress you towards your goals and towards your destination, and everything's all going to come together once that is backed by a reason why. Everything comes together and becomes a repeat sequence, and that repeat sequence helps you to move towards another direction to help you repeat that sequence somewhere else and move towards another direction and continues from there. And before you know it, you have a bunch of repeated sequences that are established as habits, as patterns that will motivate and inspire you to continue to keep going because you've seen how you've progressed. All of that I just spoke of in the last 54 seconds is going to help you understand why the title of this is Motivation is the Ticket and Habit is the Ride. Before I begin, special shout out to everybody who listens to these episodes. I appreciate everyone who jumps on and listens in for the next 40 minutes. We're going to be dropping some information for you guys to help you guys feel fired up, feel amped up, not just to be motivated, but to be motivated to move, to establish a habit that's going to set you up for success today, that you can continue into tomorrow, next day, next week, next month, next year. And before you know it, you're flying high. You're hitting your goals, you're knocking down walls, you're kicking over obstacles. You're finally getting to where you want to get to. But of course, it all takes with starting from one. It all needs to be established up here and in here. Second thing I want to do is I want to shout out Premium Fuel. Thank you very much. My guy Sam Richards out in Toronto, Premium Fuel Studio. He's a personal trainer and nutrition coach. He's been my nutrition coach for the past couple of months. He helped me out in the summertime to get myself back to lean form. Gave me some tips, gave me some tricks, helped me out with a couple of things here. I was able to redefine and reestablish where it is I'm trying to go, recenter my focus, and now we're working together again. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much for hooking me up with the Key sweater. Goes well with my Wu-Tang hat. Wu-Tang is for the children, guys. Always remember that. Hailing my guy for the merchandise. If you want to get a sweater or t-shirt, crew necks, he has them available. Check out Premium Fuel Studio on Instagram or PF Vegan for your personal training needs as well as your nutritional needs. He'll definitely hook you up. And of course, I always want to remember to support local businesses out there. Professionals, artists, bakeries, meal prep services. It costs you nothing to like and share where you can. Free. We have platforms that we can do it. If we can spread the word about somebody who's doing something good out there, who is trying to make $1, because right now it's been difficult to do that due to the circumstances and conditions we've been under over the past year. Guys, anyway, we can share some love and spread some joy to help people out. Definitely going to be part of that. Now, getting to the topic and the theme. Motivation is a ticket. Habit is a ride. Habits, all right. So, many people speak of motivation or being motivated by something, to do something, or to move in a certain direction. It's probably the #1 buzzword in social media. If you go on Google and you type in motivational quotes, you will get pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of motivational quotes designed to inspire you, to fire you up, to fuel you up, to do something. It's not with the purpose of just taking it to go, wow, this is nice to read. Sticking it somewhere and going, wow, I like looking at that. And then not taking any action with that. And you'll get quotes from random people like myself, because I'm nobody. But you'll get quotes from celebrities, from athletes, from top money earners, from motivational speakers. There are tons of quotes out there that are designed to get you to do something. And if you take that information and do nothing with it, you are disrespecting the person who provided you with that energy. Maybe not, but at the same time, in a sense you are, because you're taking that information, they provided it, they're giving it to you for free, and you're doing nothing with it. It's like me handing you a handful of change and going, hey, put this in the bank and save it, invest it, do something. And all you do is throw it in the water, making wishes and hoping that one of those coins are going to strike you gold. That's not what we got to do with motivation. Motivation's got to be something else. It's got to be something more, but it's got to be backed by something. It's also going to lead us to do something. And here's where the two come together. Motivation being the ticket, habit being the ride. Yes, we're speaking about going on a ride because we need to move in the direction towards our goals and towards our destination. Motivation by definition, reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way, a general desire or willingness of someone to do something. Going back to the top definition, reason or reasons, remember that, because that's going to play a vital role in understanding the difference between the two, but how we can put the two together so that we can get things done. We're trying to collect W's out here. We're taking these L's that maybe we've caught a couple times, shifting the angle, shifting the focus, and creating wins and putting the wins solidly in the bag for all of us. Motivation is something that someone at some point loses. How they lose it, who knows? They lose the fire, they lose the fuel. When you put gas in your car, do you lose the gas out of your car? Not too sure. But your car might have a hard time starting if you let it stay there a little bit too long. Ask anybody who hasn't moved their car in the past 6 or 7 months due to the pandemic. Definitely, they've had a little bit of a struggle to get their car started up and running again. Motivation is that fuel. It's the gasoline to get your engine going, get your fire started. It's the pep in your step. It's the boost, it's the boom, it's the green light to get you to go. Motivation gets all of the love. Everyone always talks about that. Motivation. Not many people speak about habit. So we're going to shift our focus to habit to understand why habit is so important. Habit by definition, a settled or regular tendency or practice. Okay, one more time. A settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. I'm going to reference the definition of habit as well as the definition of motivation throughout our discussion, because these two definitions, when you put them together, it's going to make sense for you again to understand why one is one and one is the other, and why you need both, but why you need to establish this solidly, firmly, because when this is not available and this is here, you can't lose. You will always keep moving and you will always keep the wins in the bag. Definition number 2 of habit, an automatic reaction to a specific situation. And again, it goes hand in hand with definition number 1 and also the definition of motivation. Habit is very, very psychological in the sense that it's based on a pattern and it ties into motivation or being motivated in more ways than one. For example, you're motivated by something that you see or you hear. You type in, again, Google, motivational quotes. You see something, you go, oh, I really like that quote. And it moves you to get up off your couch, you bundle yourself up, you put on your jacket, put on your shoes, and you go for a light jog. First time you've ever done that in your life, but now you just feel driven to do it because you said, you know what? Something I read motivated me to get up out of my seat, boom, and I moved. But you do that one time, and then you read another quote, and it gets you bundled up again, putting on your shoes, and you're moving again, and you do it again. But everything is based on you being motivated by something. It hasn't yet been firmly established as a habit. And that in itself is a habit. Example number 2. Motivated by a continuous something that is permanent. You hear one quote. You hear one thing that stood out to you and you said, you know what? Wow, that really did hit me solid. It hit me hard. Hard in the chest, hard in the heart, hard in my mind. Yeah. And you write it down somewhere and you keep it in your pocket, you keep it on your phone, and every time you open up your phone you see that quote and you say okay, and it drives you to get up, bundle yourself up, go put on your shoes, you go for that light jog. And now you go for that light jog every day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, whatever distance that you're trying to go for. You've now established it into a habit. It becomes routine. It becomes something that you practice. You see where the difference lies? And see how the two tie together? Motivation can get you amped up, fired up, but then no actions can be taken. No movement is made at all. It's just a lot of this. If you guys are seeing it on video, I'm doing hand signals to show you talking. It's just a lot of talking, a lot of chatter. And a lot of people sit here and chat. They talk. They talk about what they're going to do, how they're going to move. Oh, I'm going to change this. I'm going to do that. This is why I'm against New Year's resolutions. Why? Because people at New Year's resolutions, they talk a lot, man. They talk a great game. And then when you check them at the end of the year and they go, hey, those New Year's resolutions that you had, did you get any of them done? Nah. You know what happened, man? This came into play, and then a pandemic, and then I had to work, and then my kids, and then I had this happen, and then I had that and that and that. And every time and every year that you do that, that is a habit that's not good, because it doesn't produce results, it doesn't produce change, it doesn't take you to your destination or toward your goal. Motivation and habit are tied together in 3 ways, and we're going to discuss that last way the most, because that is the way that I think is affecting a lot of people. They are motivated by something. They're motivated by people. They're motivated by seeing people. They're motivated by seeing stuff. They're motivated by seeing results. But the habit is what gets them the results. Habit is what gets them to change. Habit is what gets them there. So if we're talking about motivation being the ticket, habit being the ride, well, let's break this down a little bit more in detail. So a person has a destination in mind. They have a goal, the choice of the vehicle. They choose a train. They go, okay, for me to get from A to Z or to A to T, I need to take the train. Okay, cool. Will motivation or habit get you there? Well, motivation is that ticket for the train ride. Motivation gets you a seat on the train. And you can purchase as many tickets as you want. You could be that person that has all the tickets in the world and just makes it rain on everybody. Oh, I got tickets for people. And you're willing to give them out for free. Boom. You're sharing quotes. Boom. You're sharing energy. Boom. You're doing all this chatter, all this talk. And you're just hyped up in your chair. You're there. You're wilding. You're vibing. You got music on. You're going, yeah, man, it's a party. And the train is just staying there. And it stays there. And then at some point, you get off the train. Why? Because you haven't committed yourself to the habits that are involved to getting you from A to T. It takes action. Motivation gets you action like this: talking, chatter, chirping. Action actually gets you to move. Not much talk, not much chatter, not much chirping. It's movement. It's movement that becomes a routine. And the routine is then backed by you being motivated to establish those habits. But it first all starts with something, and we're going to get into that in depth first. The most important component of these two things, motivation and habit. You know, and on this train that you're on, you know, you might run into some people who you've seen and you go, man, you're back at the station again? How come you're on this train again? And you might see some people who, you know, are familiar, who, just like you, they talk a lot. They go, oh man, yeah, man, I'm here. I'm hyped. I got tickets. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up. I'm throwing tickets to everybody. I'm going crazy. And both of you guys sit in your seats and you're talking about what you're going to do, and the train doesn't move. Why? Because you have yet to commit yourself to the habit. And because you haven't done that, you think to yourself, man, this train is not going anywhere. And you come off the train, you find more tickets, you get back on the train. You come off the train again. Oh, I lost my ticket, I lost my motivation. You sit at the station and you wait. Same people that you see going on that train, going in a loop, back and forth, back and forth. You're wondering, wow, where have you gone all this time? And they're able to tell you, well, I went this to this destination first, and then I changed my destination and I went here. And once I was able to get those two things, I was able to go here. And once I was able to get these three things, I was able to go here. Why? Because they got used to this, establishing the habits that help them to establish a routine to get them on that loop to ride. You have yet to go on one ride, but you have all these tickets. Is that something to be excited about? Not necessarily. Why does this continue to be a problem for people? Because it's so much easier to talk about what you're going to do than to actually do it. You know, if you get into a fight with somebody and they go, yo, if you keep acting up, I'm gonna punch you. Trust me, man, I'm gonna get my whole team after you. It's gonna be a problem on site when I see you. It's fire. Okay. And you show up and you wait and you go, where's your team? Where's your guys? I thought you said you were gonna hit me. I thought you said you were gonna get me. Are you gonna get me? Are you gonna get that person? No, because it's easy to do this. You hope that a person will be intimidated by what you say. You hope that what you say will move you to do something. Here's the thing about talking, is that talking is great. Talking fires you up. Talking fuels you up. Motivation fuels you up. Things you read fuels you up, fires you up. But in order for it to work, you have to use it. You actually have to move. I am a collector of shoes. I own, I don't know how many pairs, I can't even tell you. If you've seen my closet previews before, I have tons of shoes, okay? And I have a good stash of running shoes. Now, I could have all these running shoes and just pose in them, but I can't say that I'm a runner if I haven't yet run or walked in them. Because I have to establish a habit of doing that first in order for me to say that that's what I do. And the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people say, that's what I do. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm moving towards. That's what I'm trying to get done. And that's great. That's awesome. You're trying, you're moving towards it. But have you even stepped in that direction yet? And most people haven't, unfortunately. All they do is talk. Why? Because it's so much easier to move your mouth than it is to move your body towards your destination, towards your goal. Habit is the ride. It goes up and down. It goes in loops. There's many swerves, many curves. You're able to see action at its best. You're able to see movement at its best. It's the ride. It's the journey. It's the trip. It's the winding of the tracks. It's not a straight line. It's not a linear ride. It's up and down and twist and turn and everything else in between. You get to learn about yourself. You get to learn your route. And you're traveling one station closer and closer and closer to your desired destination. Habit is consistent. Habit is routine. Habit is experience. Habit is commitment to the trip regardless of how many stalls, delays, bumps, swerves, and curves that may come along, accompanied by bouts of nausea, bouts of exhaustion, fatigue, adjustment, adaptation, progress. Because every time that you ride that habit train, and you ride, the nausea dies down, the frustration dies down, the anxiety dies down, the excitement might be there, but certain things will die down, and now you start to see clearly. You're going somewhere, you're progressing somewhere, you're going in the right direction, you're stepping in the right direction, and that's ultimately what you want to experience, is that progressing, going forward. Motivation gets you in the seat, and all you're doing is this: rocking, waiting, because you haven't yet established a habit of going forward. Habit is ultimately what you need. Tickets are great, but habit is what you need to make things happen. To get to your goal, habits need to be established, need to be solidified, and need to be committed to every single day, one step at a time. To be a marathon runner, it doesn't require you to run 42 kilometers in one shot. It requires you to start with 1 kilometer, and then you accumulate. And over a period of time, you realize, wow, okay, I was able to do 1 kilometer every day for 42 days. I just did a marathon in 42 days. Okay, cool. Now you want to reduce that time. Okay, I'm going to do 2 kilometers. So now it's going to take me 26 days. Okay, cool. No, not 26 days. Sorry, my math is terrible. 21 days. Sorry. 26. That's terrible. 21 days is going to take me. Now you figure, hey, what can I do in 15 days? What can I do in 10 days? But remember, you've already gone through that 1 kilometer. What's an extra 1? What's 3 kilometers? Not that far from 1. Okay. What's 4 kilometers from 3? Well, just 1 more. What's 5 kilometers from 3? Just another 2 more. What's 7 kilometers from 5? And it goes on. But that's because you've established a habit and you've established a practice to continue to practice. Practice. And the more that you practice, the more you hit that habit train, The ups and downs, the curves, the swerves, the bumps and bruises that come along the way, you won't even feel it anymore. You'll know exactly where it's going to come. You know exactly how it's going to hit. You're going to go, okay, we're going to get to this part. Oh, I'm going to feel that bump. I'm expected to feel nausea. What did I do to combat nausea last time? I did this. I turned to my right and I went this way instead, and I was able to move. I sat in my chair. I sat a little bit lower. I bent forward. I went to the bathroom. I stood up. I went outside. I looked outside. I got some air. Whatever it is that helped me to just overcome that one bump. Boom, I was able to overcome it. You learn about yourself. You learn about your route. And that's the key to having habit. That's the key to having a routine. It just starts with one. When you start with one, you're right there in the driver's seat. Motivation, as I mentioned before, all talk, more hype, less action. While habit is less talk, more action, less hype. Just for a second, think about the most decorated champion that you might know, or even somebody successful in your life, your family members. Let's think of among your friends, among your contemporaries, your teachers, your team leaders, your coaches, professionals, parents. How did they get to where they are? What did they have to do? Did they stay hyped on motivation? No. They were motivated to do something, but it all started with something else. And that helped them to establish a habit, establish a routine, establish a pattern, so that continues to be that cycle, what motivates them to establish a new habit, a new pattern, and use that same format to continue to get towards that goal, that goal, that goal, that goal. Again, going back to the reference of a runner. A person has a goal of making it a habit to run 1 kilometer a day. Okay, now I'm going to make that same pattern. I'm going to use that towards 2 kilometers a day. Then 3, then 5, then 7, then 10. Next thing you know, you're running 42 kilometers once a month. Because you have used the routine that you've created. You've used the habits that you've created to make that happen. The motivation is there, the fire is there, the fuel is there, the gas is there. It's never lost. But even if it's not there, it's habit that's going to get you up and get you moving to still continue to run that 1 kilometer every day and be consistent with it. Consistency is key. Very, very, very important. Motivation does play an impactful role. Well, how? It has to be backed by a why. And again, going back to the definition of motivation, it's reason or reasons. Your why is a reason, but your why can't be a light reason. It's got to be something that's firm, established, solid, grounded. When your reason why is firmly established, it cannot be tilted, it cannot be tipped, it cannot be pushed over easily. It will take effort by external factors or even internal factors like within yourself to push you over. But only you can actually allow external factors to affect your why. Only you can. Because even if a person is injured, they'll still find a way to make things work. Even if a person is sick, they'll still find a way to make things work. Even if their business has fallen apart because of a pandemic, people who have a why will find a way to make $1 and make that dollar turn into 10, turn into 100, and who knows where it can go from there, because they have established a pattern and a routine, and they've been committed to those habits and those routines to make that dollar transform into something else and watch it grow. It takes time. And sometimes that habit train can be rough, because there will be days that you do not feel like going on that train. But because something is a habit, it's a routine, it becomes automatic. And that is the key. Making sure that your habit becomes something that you do and you don't even think about it. So how can habits also be something bad? Well, here's the deal. If it puts you in the wrong space because you often think of things in the wrong space. For example, if you have the habit of considering negative first over the positive, poor results will come. If you have the habit of insulting yourself constantly, putting you down, calling yourself fat, ugly, stupid, shameful, whatever the case may be, poor results will come. If you have the habit of starting something, talking about what you're going to do, and you never finish, you never fight to the end because you go, ooh, it's a lot of work, I don't know if I really want to do this. That in itself produces poor results. If you have the habit of only utilizing vocabulary that has no place in helping you to progress or go forward, that will produce poor results. And some people don't think, words don't have that much power. Oh, trust me. Sit in front of a mirror and call yourself ugly 10 times a day. I guarantee you will see yourself differently. Why? Because words have power. But tell yourself something beautiful, that you're beautiful, once a day. Tell yourself that on a daily basis. Compound effect happens. You know what happens? Now you start to see yourself differently. Start to identify things about you that you like, that you love, the positives. And it will change your mind, the way you see things. And now it becomes a habit to think better as opposed to thinking the worst. If habits if the habits that you keep do not help you go forward, it is time to get rid of it. Put it in the trash, dump that crap, and get it the heck out of here. You only hinder your progress by programming your mind to think that you are not worth the time, effort, and energy. Remember this, I'm going to say it one more time. You only hinder your progress, not anyone else. You do. By programming your mind to think that you are not worth the time, energy, and effort to invest in. Instead of investing in things that aren't going to help you to grow, invest in you. If it's going to help you establish habits and patterns that are going to take you to your destination and towards your goals, invest in you. Invest in positive thinking. Invest in positive thoughts. Invest in positive people. Invest in a positive environment. Invest in that. Take the time to do that. If it's going to benefit you in the long run, do it. One time a day. Just establish that one pattern, that one habit once a day. Just keep working on it. And you'll see by the end of the year, you have established a habit that you cannot let go of, because habits are hard to break by definition. People who take drugs have a hard time letting go of it. Why? Because habits are hard to break. People who spend money aimlessly have a hard time doing that. Why? Because habits are hard to break. People who always look at themselves in a negative light, no matter how many compliments they get, why do they keep doing that? Because patterns and habits are hard to break. But we have an opportunity to change those patterns. We can change it, we can alter that, but it all starts with one. Start with one, and the rest will come. So my call to action to everybody this evening: first things first, identify your why. When it comes to our goal, it comes to our destination. Identify your why. Let it be solid, let it be firm, let it be grounded, planted, so much so that it can't be tipped, it can't be tilted over, it cannot be pushed or shoved down, only unless you allow it to happen. Identify your habits and determine whether they're good or bad for your progress. If the habits that you keep do not build you up, get rid of them. Reprogram your mind, reprogram your thoughts, reprogram your thinking to seeing things in a better light. All we are trying to do is change perspectives. This is an L. This is an L. When I take the two together and I do this, I've now made a W, because I shifted my perspective and I changed the way I see things. And all it took was one. Now every time I see someone do this and see someone do this, instead of thinking loser, guess what I'm thinking? Oh, but if I put another one together, it makes a W. Now I've changed my way of thinking. Now you change your pattern of thought. Now you've established a habit of seeing the wins over the losses. Let's go, guys. Come on. Identify what habits you can establish now. Start small. Let them be short-term and achievable. So here's my action plan for you guys. I want you to choose four goals that you want to become a habit. One nutrition, one fitness, one mental, and one other. Okay, it could be financial, it could be spiritual, whatever it is. And I want you to make sure that it's something that you choose out of each category that's achievable. For example, nutrition could be drink 3 liters of water a day. Okay, my goal is to drink 3 liters of water a day. Boom. I just gotta make sure that I hit that. And every time I hit that 3 liters, boom, I check it off. Next day, boom, I check it off. My fitness goal is stretch my body 10 to 15 minutes a day. And every day I do it, boom, I check it off. Boom, I check it off. Every day that passes. My mental goal could be find one thing that I like about myself and say it to myself. Kareem, I think you are whatever the case may be. I can't even think of it. See, even I have the same problem. But it could be whatever it is. Or it could be something like, choose one thing that you're grateful for. And every time you find something that you're grateful for, you write it down. Boom, you check it off. Boom, you check it off. Your other goal, let's say it's something spiritual. I choose to read a chapter of the Bible once a day. Every time you do it, check it off. Now, you may not hit all days, but get this. If you look at everything from a week standpoint or a month standpoint, out of 30 or 31 days, how many times did you hit your goal? 28 days? 26 days? 20 days maybe? Okay. You're still working on establishing a habit. Habit doesn't come right away, but it's got to be consistent. Now you decide, okay, my goal is to be consistent, making sure I get it done every week. And now the weeks add up. And now it becomes a habit because now you're committed to making sure that every week you've checked off the box in all 4 categories once a day. And that becomes an accumulative effect. That becomes the compound effect. And that becomes a habit. That becomes a routine. That becomes a pattern. You're motivated by a why. And that's going to lead you to create these habits and create these patterns. And it just becomes a cycle. Again, I mentioned the cycle in the beginning. That cycle is there. And it continues and continues and continues to move in that direction. Okay? And every time you hit that habit, now you establish another 4. And you keep adding them up. And by the end of the year, you will have a calendar full of habits. And automatically you're going to do them. Without question, you're going to think to yourself, oh, I got to make sure I get my 3 liters of water in. Oh, got to make sure I stretch for 10, 15 minutes a day. Without question, it's going to be a regular part of your routine. You won't even have to think about it. You won't have to tell yourself. You won't have to write it down and remind yourself. It now becomes part of your everyday. You've now reprogrammed your brain and your thoughts to understand that you are motivated by something. That's great. But the habit is what's really going to get you there. The habit is what's going to help you to establish that pattern, that routine that's going to get you closer to your destination and towards your goal. Guys, I mentioned this at least 7 to 8 times because I want it to be something repetitive in your thoughts that you always think about it. You always remember. Consistency is key. Habit is key. Pattern is key. Good patterns, good habits are key. Motivation is key. But motivation isn't the key. Motivation is a key. The key is the why. And that's what's going to help you to unlock. I'm using this key reference all the time. But it's going to help you to unlock those habits and those patterns that are going to lead you to your goal and towards your destination. Guys, remember, information that we share here is for your benefits. Not to insult you, not to make you feel bad, not to bring you down, but because me as a professional, clients that I've worked with in the past, people that I don't even know, people who are listening to this podcast right now, I believe that everybody has the potential to do anything that they want. You can do it, but you have to see it. You can do it, but you have to work at it. And you can do it, but you have to commit to it. So, when you get on that train and you hand the driver your ticket, take a seat, strap in, buckle up, relax for a little bit, settle down, breathe, maybe take a little nap, but keep your eyes open because that habit train you're about to ride, or you're going to see some things. You're going to see some changes you've never seen before. You're going to see people that you've never seen before. You're going to hear things differently. You're going to experience things differently. You're going to start to express things differently. You're going to feel pain. You're going to feel discomfort. You're going to feel hunger. You're going to feel unhappy at times. But guess what? Everything, there's a cost. Don't waste what you can invest in yourself to make yourself better. Don't waste it. Opportunities come sometimes 1 in a million. And we don't have many opportunities these days. Considering all things considered, not to put anything in a negative light, we want to utilize every opportunity that we have, not only to build ourselves up, but to build ourselves up for the purpose of building up each other, because we all can use encouragement. We all can use energy and empowerment. And that's all we aim to do with these podcast episodes, with different shorts, with different stuff that's out there. We're all trying to just boost each other because we all need it. Now more than ever, we need positive talk. We need positive energy, positive vibe that's going to keep us going. Guys, I'm approaching 34 minutes and I'm about to end this off, but I want to thank everyone again for listening to this part. Remember, motivation sells tickets. Consistent, positive habits win you championships. All right, guys. So this portion of the podcast episode, we're introducing a new portion. It's called the check-in. This is where we get a chance to call former persons who were on the show before to get a chance to check in with them to see how they're doing during this pandemic scenario. I know no one really wants to talk about COVID, so we're not going to talk about COVID itself. We're just going to talk about how these restrictions have been affecting some people. And one person that we're happy to have on again is my good friend out of Brampton, Ontario, Krys Marie. Krys Marie, what's up? Welcome once again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Very good. It's been a while. It's been a minute, but I see you doing your thing as usual, which is always exciting. It's always inspiring to see that, how you're making some moves out there. We're going to talk a bit about that as well. But one question that often gets overlooked by people, because we ask this question in passing to kind of say, hey, how are you doing? And a person goes, yeah, I'm good. Mm-hmm. But the real answer never really comes out. So this gives us an opportunity to see how are you doing, like exactly. And we're talking about business-wise, we want to talk about that. Just even like mentally, how things have been affecting you. How are you?
Well, we had to make huge adjustments with the business because that went from in the gym to online, and it just stayed like that. So I would say the first 3 months from March 2020, when we were first put in the lockdown, the women that were in my boot camp program, we moved everything online into Zoom. And I think the mentality was, okay, let's just do this to get by until the gym opens in a couple weeks. And as we started to realize that the lockdown was extending for longer than just a couple weeks, now we were looking at about 3 months. I think people still had the hope of returning back to the gym soon. So these online workouts were really just to hold us over until we could get back to the gym and do some heavy lifting again. It was, I would say, about September that I think it started to sink in with people that this was extending for much longer. And then the region that we are in had specific lockdown measures in place that were not the same as other regions. So for sure, we knew that we were not going back to the gym as of October, I believe, all the way up until now. And then we were told that, you know, we've even put on even more restrictive rules. So I think over time, people have had to really adjust their mindset around what their actual workouts are going to look like. They are not going to be the same as they used to be. And I think just changing the mentality around this is not just holding me over, this has to be the new lifestyle, the new way of things. So how they were incorporating, some of them were starting to run and some of them were starting to use outside walks as a way to get extra steps in, extra workouts. I did see a lot of resistance from many clients who have a hard time with working out at home. And it's not necessarily that they have a hard time working out at home, just that by itself, but I think they were having a difficult time separating themselves from their kids and their husband and just having time to themselves. And then those who had a difficult time with finding motivation and discipline already, I think for them, leaving the home and then going to a gym was part of the process of getting it done. So now that they just had to do it at home, I think that made it difficult for them.
It was all, traveling was part of the habit of the whole thing.
Yes. And and they also had a support group at the gym that many of them missed because they've made friendships together. So what I would say is, looking at the Zoom classes, I think transferring the group fitness onto Zoom was what saved a lot of people, because the group fitness on Zoom, you know, even myself at first, when we started doing this in March, I didn't think that it would be good enough. Like,
Right.
I thought, okay, we're going to do these Zoom workouts, but it's not going to be the same.
Right.
In fact, it actually worked out a lot better than what I thought it would.
Okay.
And people adjusted pretty quickly to looking for familiar faces online. So they would still show up at their classes. And there would be 5 minutes before and after class where people would chat. So they were seeing people that they still like to be around, right? That they were with before. But it definitely has been a huge adjustment for everyone. So here we are now in January, and we're now starting another 28-day lockdown. And I think if I could predict, I think that this is going to be longer than 28 days.
I think we've all kind of predicted that at that point. We're like, 28 days, right? You're right.
Yeah. So I think the mindset really has to switch. Like, if people haven't flipped that mindset already, that this is the new way of doing things. Right. And I will be honest that even within my own house, I have avoided spending a lot of money on weights because I'm still weighing out, do I really want to spend that much money on weights? And then the gym opens in a couple months, right? Yeah. But truthfully, I don't think that is the case. I think that working out from home is going to be the way of this year. Like, that will be the theme of this year. Yeah. It's
interesting you say that, because I know in conversation talking to you before, you did say that before too, that this is the thing that we have to get used to. It's the norm. I've had other friends who are trainers as well say, this is the norm. We got to get used to this. It is what it is. You have to adjust. You have to adapt to it. What have you put together for your clients that has helped them to adapt to the changes? Like, is your program, is it more about the activity and the eating, or is there a lot of it have to do with like the mentality of things to make sure that they're staying within that habit bubble, I guess you could say, to keep them going?
Yeah. So a couple of things. What I noticed was, I think, accepting what is instead of wishing what was.
Right.
It makes the adjustment a lot easier.
Right.
So just accepting the fact that this is the new way instead of wishing for what was and hoping for it to come back. I think that's where a lot of people are getting stuck too. The program had to, I would say that my program fully transitioned into a completely different program.
Right.
And along the way, I lost some clients, and things are just different now. So what I was providing before, we were in a gym, we were doing group training, but we were lifting heavy weights.
Right.
It's a different style workout. People are at home, they have 10, 20 pound weights, they have bands. It's a lot more cardio based and, high reps. Everything's different all the time. Every single workout is different.
Right.
But what I found was that to sustain people's interest, I couldn't just continue with the Zoom workouts and the way we used to do things, where we had the live interaction with each other.
Right.
I would measure them. I would update their platform where we keep their stats. What I decided to do in the summer was test out the 28-day detox, which went really well. And the average woman was losing 8 to 15 pounds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Awesome. So we took that program, and after we ran through it about 10 times, and it had consistent results. So looking ahead, I wanted to plan out a program that could be carried through online and could be sustainable. So we already had the app running where we keep our workouts in there. You take care of your daily progress. You upload your photos, all of that. Our app was always running since the beginning of when the program started. So luckily I already had that in place. Using another platform what I did was created more of a module-based program.
Okay.
So starting out the first 28 days, you would complete the detox, get your system in line, and then moving into phase 2 and phase 3, which the entire program would be 90 days. And that would help people shed weight and start to build some muscle.
Right.
So the focus is fat loss for this program.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now looking forward to what the next 90 days could be. So over the span of a year, how I would be breaking down a year's worth of programming.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so just looking ahead and trying to build something around what would life look like in a year from now if we are still in this position.
Right.
Because we really don't know what a year from now is going to look like.
For sure.
One thing that we can control is that we know we're going to be at home no matter what at some point in the day, and we have access to internet. So as long as we have those things, we can connect with each other. A big part of the program is the community and the accountability, and I didn't want to lose that because I found that having people show up for the workouts was what they needed to continue. It's what kept them going. Like seeing those familiar faces is what kept them going.
Right.
Or knowing that they said they were coming and that I would be looking for them. So even on your down days, right? The worst days, the ladies would still come.
Good. That's good.
Even if they said they didn't want to, right? They would say, I really didn't want to come today, but I just came. Right. Good. You showed up. So a big part of the new program is the accountability piece. So we do check-ins a couple times a week. We have our private Facebook group. Women are constantly talking with each other. And we also have our weekly progress check-in. And all these meetings are mandatory as part of the program. They're built into the program because I want you to be successful.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's how I was just saying yesterday, if the lockdown didn't happen, we'd still be doing what we were doing before.
Yeah.
Right? So looking at it like it's a positive. I don't think I would have pushed myself to make any of these changes if there was no lockdown. For sure. I think a lot of people have realized that it kind of opened up a creative space that we've always had that people have never tapped into because they're so used to having things be so automated. It's like if all the calculators went dead and now you have to calculate tax by hand, people would kind of go, how am I supposed to do this? But you'd figure it out and you'd realize, okay, you just have to do mathematics all over again, just the way that it was before in the beginning. And it gives us a chance to really see that regardless of what weather comes, because we're all in this storm at the same time, different boats, different size boats, whatever, that whatever weather comes, we can withstand it because you've learned to go, okay, this storm comes or the wind comes, I know what I have to build. Okay, the rain comes like this, I know what I have to build. Okay, this happens, I know what I have to build. And it allows you to use your creative space a bit more to capitalize on that. And you've definitely been doing a great job with that. I've seen you promoting your programs, 28-day detox, other ones as well, to see how things are going. So what has been the biggest adjustment to get used to? I know you're saying going for yourself, working out from home is a little bit tough. For some people, it's been training from home as well. But what else has been a big adjustment that you've had to get adjusted to? In my personal life, would you say?
Yeah. Or,
you know what is, I can't even lie. It's been difficult for me too. Finding the discipline to step away from things at home and do the work with everything happening right here beside me.
Right.
And then also lacking motivation at times. There was some weight gain. Like I think a lot of people put on what I call the quarantine 15 or whatever you want to call it. Now it could be like quarantine 20. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what? This used to be something that would stress me out. If I gained weight, I would get stuck. I'd feel like I failed. And last night I was talking with one of my clients, and she was in a similar situation where she ate a bunch of crackers and she felt bad about it, and she felt herself sliding back to where things were before.
Right.
One thing I let her know was, when I started to understand how the role that food really played in your body when you're working out, and what we think is horrible damage, once we really look at the numbers and we understand our macros, our macronutrients, we can really take away the emotional side of it and look rationally, how did this really impact my progress?
Right.
Usually it doesn't do much, you know, when you're looking at the bigger picture of a whole month put together. So luckily I have that in my background where I can do a lot of self-talk and just, you know, I know when the time is right that I can be at my peak.
Yeah.
Right now I'm not at my peak. Right now I have been struggling with finding the motivation on days to do things. Plus with the program design, my focus has been also, okay, financially, this has to happen.
Right.
This change has to happen.
Right.
And then to add to that, I do foster parenting. So sometimes I'm around a lot of behaviors that add additional stress.
Right.
So now that everything has kind of evened out here at home, I feel like I have more time to look at my business. And when the time is the right time, I think my mind will fully be on my training.
Okay.
In my system, a lot is automated. So I find when you're in any business, especially when a lot of it is online, the more that you can automate, the less you're taking off yourself, the more you're taking off yourself, right?
Yeah.
So when there's things in place, you know, I think I'll just have to figure out the right time for myself.
For sure.
I haven't totally thrown everything in the fire. Like I'm still on track.
That's good.
But I will say,
well, I've been harassing you all this time, so you better be on track.
I know, because having you to check in with has been helpful.
That's good.
And, you know, I think the food part is not the issue for me. It's the training part.
It's training part. Yeah.
Training part has dipped.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I do have a bike at home. And this is like, I think I could relate to so many people because I have the equipment here.
Yeah.
Right? It's that, and it couldn't get any closer, right? But sitting on a bike for 20 minutes in my basement, it's not appealing to me, right? No. So I'm constantly thinking like, how could I make this more fun? Yeah. And I think it's just, it really does. It's the same thing I would tell any of my clients, like it's just the discipline. And then you get used to the habit, right? So whether it's like blast music, put a mirror down there, put on sexy workout clothes, something that you feel good in, whatever it is. Yeah. Just do that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It applies to us too as trainers.
For sure. I mean, I hope that you really take time for yourself, because I know you're saying when you're like, you know, when I get the time to, I will. And one thing, I mean, I've learned from experience, and I'm pretty sure you have as well as others as well, is that when you don't put yourself first, you know, it's the whole airplane mask theory, right? Like if you don't put the mask on yourself first, it's kind of hard to help the person beside you. So, I mean, do take the time for yourself as well. It's very important.
That is true.
Yeah.
Because I could literally sit down. There were days where when I was doing the 28-day detox, when I was trying to revamp that part of the program, I wasn't sleeping properly. Like I was working hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And so balancing out work life, home life, personal, like how to take care of myself, balancing all of that out, I do have to become more disciplined. And it's funny because that's something I was talking about today. So I keep saying, well, I just talked about this yesterday and I just talked about this today. Literally, this is how many times I'm talking about it. But I have to keep it all at the forefront.
In the forefront, yeah, right.
And actually do it.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. And that's again, something that makes what you do and what we do very relatable, but especially in your position, is to be able to say to somebody, hey, listen, I get it. You know, you have the equipment at home, you don't want to use it. You're lacking the motivation or lacking the drive to do something, totally get it. The timing of things, I could put this in front of this instead, I totally get it. And it comes down to priorities of what you prioritize your time to do, and what you put your energy to do. And instead of just talking about it all the time, it's getting the stuff done, which is tough. It's hard. Even if you have everything on point, we're all going to have those moments where it doesn't really work that day, but it's, what are you going to do the next day? What are you going to do in the next 15 minutes? Are you actually going to put the work in and make something happen? But you're a resilient person. I mean, people who've listened to our interview before knows your background, your history, your experience, what you've gone through. This is light work. I texted you the other day. This is light because it's light right now. I mean, it seems very heavy, all things considered, but we're trying to keep it as light as possible. So you have another detox program coming up?
So the 90-day program is it's a 90-day program, and it's designed for fat loss for women. So that program, the first phase is the detox. So the women will lose between 8 to 15 pounds in the first month. And then we change up their workouts, change up their diet plan a bit, and it's a continued fat loss program.
Cool.
So that's the first part of the program. And once you'll basically repeat that entire program until you hit your goal weight, and then you can move on to another phase. So it's designed long-term. This is like, the program is broken down into separate 90-day programs because I want it to last as you hit different phases. You move on to the next goal.
Right.
Yeah. And it's all from home.
That's cool.
So,
that's cool. And can guys get on this? And you mentioned ladies, but can guys get on this too? Because what if there are some guys that need to drop their quarantine 15 or 20 or 30, whatever they've jumped on as well?
Well,
can't be leaving the dudes out, man.
No. No, it's a ladies only program.
It's a ladies only program. Okay, all right, cool. But fellas, I understand if you're a little bit upset because you're not able to jump in on this, but that's fine.
Men have asked about it though. Men have asked about it. Last summer we had 2 men try the program, and they just didn't do the live workouts. I don't let the men in the live workouts on Zoom, just to respect the women there.
For sure.
And but no, I wasn't even thinking about putting the men in on this.
I'm just saying, I mean, it might be a different challenge though, but that's cool. That's cool. All right. Well, Signature Shape, the challenges, there's a 90-day program that's coming up when's the start date for your program?
So it starts whenever anybody's ready. So it's a group-based program. You have the support of a group, but everybody's at a different starting point. So if your starting point is today, that's good. If your starting point is next week, it's fine. It doesn't matter when you start. Everybody's building off of what the program has to offer right now.
For sure.
And then because you're interacting with the group, the women are helping the other women. So it's a really nice community that's being built.
That's cool.
Yeah. So the community is extremely helpful right now for everybody, myself included. It gives, when you have that sense of community with other people, it really makes things more worthwhile.
For sure. That's awesome. So in parting, what advice would you give to someone who's still contemplating doing at-home training, still having a hard time adapting to the whole thing, or even a trainer that's looking to get themselves started into something online? What advice would you give to them?
For a trainer that wants to start, just start. Find yourself some mentors, some people online that are doing what you want to be doing, and follow their guidance. Ask questions, reach out, join mastermind groups, whatever you can do, but really look ahead and see who is doing what you would like to be doing a year from now.
Right.
And for people who want to get started, one of the things I find myself repeating often is to be rational rather than emotional about things.
Right.
And I think it's important to be very realistic about the circumstances that surround us, that we don't really have control over, and take a look at what we do have control over.
For sure.
And there's never going to be a perfect time, like you were saying. And we do have to put ourselves first. So it might be uncomfortable at first to just start, but waiting for that perfect moment's never going to come.
Right.
You have to just start.
Right.
And you have to just start those habits, even if you're starting one habit a week. So drink 3 liters of water every day, 2 to 3 liters. If you can do that for a week, get to bed on time. You know, start certain habits that you can successfully do.
Right.
And then, you know, start to see what style workouts that you like.
Right.
And there's lots of free things on YouTube that you can test out.
Yeah.
You know, there's tons of trainers now. Everybody's a trainer online now. So
very true. But not all of them are good.
Nope, but you could just reach out,
saying.
Right?
It's true.
Follow anybody on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
See what they're doing. Try some free live workouts. Diet is important. So learning about diet, go somewhere where you can also learn about how to eat in a way that is sustainable for you.
For sure.
Right?
Not all methods are equal, and not all methods will work for everyone in the same way or fashion. So make sure you find something that works best for you. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking time. I know you have a class to start in a bit of time, and I want to make sure I got a chance to reach out to you to make sure everything was cool. I've been harassing you and texting you to make sure that you're on top of things. I saw you on Start. You're like, okay, I'm on this. And then I was like, oh, I'm not seeing her on doing her thing in her stories anymore. Okay, what's going on here?
That's the other thing. Instagram, I should be posting more on Instagram, and I don't, and I should be, and I will be, because that will be the main place that you can find me, right?
Yeah.
But right now there's certain parts of my programming that I've been more focused on, and then definitely when I'm on top of things, I'll be on Instagram all the time.
Yeah. That's good.
So right now I'm just doing all of this programming, and it'll just come. It'll come.
For sure. One thing I will suggest to everybody out there following a program, looking at social media aspect of things is great. Don't get yourself too wrapped up into it, because it can end up being distraction. It can also be discouraging at times, because your thought process might be like, oh man, I want to get to that. You have to realize that it is going to take some time to get there. Like Krys is doing, like, it's not, her detox program is not 5 days, it's 28 days, and there are phases to it. So you have to understand that everything takes time. There's a process to it. Even for us as fitness professionals or professionals in general, there is a process to everything. We have to take our time to make sure we get it done when we're able to get it done. So always remember, guys, you're never late. You're right on time when it's on time for you. Again, I thank you, Krys, for being part of this. Again, if you want to check out Krys Marie on Instagram, her Instagram tag is at Krys Fit Curves. Okay, she has tons of pictures. She's a Wu-Tang fan. That's why I wore the hat today, to make sure that we had that covered. But for sure, check out her stories, check out her posts. Her clients are doing amazing things. She's doing some great things in the community in Brampton, and also across all the platform of social media, making sure that people are getting the fitness work that they need to get things done. Guys, get started today, make things happen, make moves happen, and make sure you check in on your family, friends, your loved ones, to make sure that they are doing good. Especially if you are doing good, make sure that everyone else in your team is doing well also. Okay, guys. It's your boy, Coach K, signing out. Krys Marie. Peace out, guys. Have a good one.
Peace out.